Hi everyone, welcome back to Megan's Creative Arts. I'm Megan, and if this is your first time with me, welcome and thank you. So today I'm going to show you how we can go ahead and weave some of these strings, these ends into the blanket or project you're doing. And as every parent probably knows, your kids play with your stuff, and mine played with mine, and I cannot find my my needles that I would normally use. You can get a needle, a yarn needle. It would probably be easier to weave these in, but I'm just going to go with a regular hook. So this is slightly smaller hook. To do this project, I used a 6.0, and to weave it in, I'm using a 5.0. So this is like an H. This one, when I was doing the project, is a J. If you are interested in this particular pattern, it's in my earlier video doing the linen or the moss. It's also called a moss pattern. So we have all these little strings because I was changing colors on every row. So a couple different ways you can do this is, for some of these I'm just going to tie them together. So they don't unravel themselves later on. As I mentioned in my previous video about the moss stitch, you can have tassels, add more. If you want tassels, I think it would look really pretty on a scarf. In this case, we're not going to keep them on here. So I'm just going to weave them in. All of these together. There we go. Alright, so I'm just going to start with this pink one. Again, this would be easier if you have a yarn needle. Basically looks like a really big sewing needle. It's just made specifically for yarn. But you're just going to weave it in. You really want to have the longer tail just so it's easier to weave this in. And if some of it comes out, that's okay. You can just trim it off later. This is all I'm doing is just kind of re-wrapping it around my project. Again, this, you don't want to use the same size hook that you did for the project. It'll be easier with a smaller hook. As you can see, that's going in there. I'm going to end it here, just trim off this little tiny bit. So you can't really tell that that pink had a tail there. Just going to tie some of these together. And you don't have to tie them like this. You can do just a simple knot. So I can go like this, just wrap it around my finger, get as close to the original stitch as you can, and just pull it through. Tighten it up a little, and it's just so that your project doesn't unravel itself later on. So, just gonna grab this purple one as the next color. And the more you do this, the easier it will be for you. I'm just trying to follow the pattern, kind of weave it around. Around and through different areas. See, I'm not going over the white with the purple, otherwise it might look a little weird. And that's only probably if someone would actually look close. And it does depend on your project, how easy this could be. Again, if I went over the white, you could definitely tell that there was an extra piece of yarn there. So that's why I'm going under the white areas. There we go. I think that's going to be long enough. I don't want to go all the way to the very end. So you can determine that yourself. I'm just going to trim it down a little. Now, if for any reason, like maybe in the wash, or if this is for a child, see a little bit of a tail comes back out, that can just be trimmed back off. That's why you want the slightly longer tails. All right, and so you're just going to continue till you're completely done. Gotta go under the pink on this one. And again, this would be easier if you had the needle, the yarn needles, but my daughter was playing with my stuff and didn't put it back. And she could have done this a couple months ago because I don't use them too often. But she's 5 and she doesn't remember where she puts anything. Not even if she had it 5 minutes prior. So we just do the best we can with what we have. There we go. I'm just going to trim it off there. Pull it a little just so it has an extra little give. There we go. So this will take a little while to do all of them because I did change colors with every row. So I have, you know, a tail on this end and a tail on this end for each color. But you can see how pretty this will be. You could do it on either side. It really doesn't matter unless you have one side that you prefer to be more or less the face side, and one side to be more the wrong way side. It can depend on the pattern you're doing, but that is how you can tie off your ends and also weave in the tails. If I was actually completing this one, I would probably put a small border on it, just so you can't see these little side bits that kind of stick out. When you're changing colors all the time, or depending on some of the patterns you do, it looks nicer when you have a border. But here's a way how to go ahead and do it either with a hook Again, use something smaller than what you did the project with, or if you have the tapestry needle, the one that looks kind of like a sewing needle but bigger for yarn, then you can do that as well. Alright, and if you like these videos, please think about subscribing and give me a thumbs up, and I will see you soon. Bye!